I cannot hear you now.
I don't know why it's muted me,
Oh.
but you should have heard recording in progress or something.
Oh.
I think, yeah, it is recording anyway. So yeah, maybe we can just start rolling out. If somebody joins afterwards, fine. Otherwise, they can see the recording. So welcome everybody. This is the regular co-working session that we do every Wednesday. Today we are having guest Sergio, which is my favorite GDE easily because he's one of the few ones that are actually talking about testing, test-driven development, and things related to that. So Sergio, welcome. This is my Android desk community. We have over 1,100 people. Not particularly everybody engaging super duper in the community, but it's a nice community, I would say, where we are sharing value. And today we decided to invite you so that you can share some stuff with us.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Yeah, exactly. I'm Sergio. You pronounce it very well, by the way. But you can also call me Sergio or Serge, like nickname. Some people do it, and it's completely fine. Yeah, I'm from Spain. I live in Germany already for very long. I can speak German also very fluent. Yeah, I've been doing Android development for 11, 12 years. I don't even remember anymore. And yeah, as Job said, yeah, I really like TDD. I've been using TDD not for so long, I have to say, like 3-4 years, because for me it was like a boom, like when I learned that from someone who was a really expert on that, I said, like, there's no way back. I'm gonna write unuseful test, and I've tried to apply that on every field, also in UI, and that's what I'm gonna talk about today, actually.
Awesome.
So yeah, I've prepared a very small presentation, which is based on another presentation that I gave at DroidCon Lisbon last year, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So let me share. Allow to share window screen. Yep. This. So you now see yourself probably.
Awesome.
And now you see probably my presentation, right?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. So let's start with it. Should be fast.
Sure.
So I decided to call these fast feedback loops when implemented UI with Compose. With fast feedback loops, I mean that the faster that we detect an issue, the cheaper it is to fix it. So in this talk, I want to show you how previews help to get fast feedback, when fast feedback with previews is not enough, and how a screenshot test will complement previews in such cases. So by using previews together with a screenshot test, we'll implement UI with confidence. So for that, I'm going to assume we got the following screens from our designer, that is a subscription screen. Yeah, there are 3 screens. The first one is content that contains like an Android bot with a welcome message, then a list of subscriptions. This is the part that is scrollable in this screen, and then the purchase subscription button. But before we display the subscriptions, we have to fetch them. And for that, we have a loading screen that looks very similar, but we have a shimmer view. Instead of a loading indicator, could be something else. And the purchase button is disabled because you cannot buy any purchase. But could be that while we are fetching the subscriptions, there is an error. So we have also an error screen. For example, if you have no internet connection, and here we display the retry button with a message on top of it. So let's see actually how would we implement this screen by implementing previews first. So we start writing a preview, right? So we have nothing. You already saw what we want to implement. At the beginning, this preview will be empty. We write the preview like here, and then we add usually the app theme that we want to apply to the composable. And then we create the composable for the content UI state. That would be something like this. So the previews is still showing nothing, yeah, because they are not connected both. And this content subscription screen, as we have seen, contains a list of subscriptions. That is the scrollable part that I mentioned before. And then is when we add this composable, the subscription screen, to the preview. And from this moment on, the preview is already set up. So every change we make in the composable that is down is going to be displayed on the preview. So we are going to get instant feedback every time that we write a composable. If something does not look as expected, we just take a look at the preview. Okay, we don't need to deploy anything on the device. We get fast feedback loops. So for example, we start with the header. We see that everything is fine. If it's not fine, we still continue working on it till it looks as expected. We do the same with the subscription list and the same with the purchase button. So no magic here. And the point is to get fast feedback loops, to not need even to deploy something on the device, which would take some time to see what we are implementing. We also have to consider that previews are a high fidelity prototype, so to speak. So it could be that when displayed on the device, they're a little bit different. But in 95% of the cases, it's more than enough. And as I said, the point is to get fast feedback loops. So after this, I want also to mention one more advantage of previews. That is that they allow to check non-standard configurations. For example, when the font size is huge, like 1.3, I think you can do up to 2.0. I mean, on a real device, it's up to 2.0. It's one of the new Android versions. And here, as we can see, there could be a problem. As I mentioned before, the only part that is scrollable here are the subscriptions. So maybe you have fat fingers, you are not even able to scroll. So the point would be basically to do all the part scrollable, for example. And that's some feedback that you can get by defining previews maybe first. Before you start writing the composable itself, try to think about all the previews, all the configurations that might be important for the screen that you are implementing. In this case, was font scale. It could be maybe if you support tablets, that you also have a preview for tablets, or you can see whether this composable is very spacious, looks very spacious, and maybe you have to adapt it. But well, that's about previews. However, as I mentioned, previews are not always enough. I'll take a small sip. And I want to show you why. For that, we are going to take the error screen. The loading screen, you can forget it. I'm not going to talk about that one. And well, as you can see in this error screen, there is a button with a message on top of it. And let's assume that this button and the message are part of a shared composable. So this means it's a composable that is used in several screens, not only in this one. And since here the message is an error message, it would make sense to make it red. So we change it and we make it red. But yeah, we have other screens that are also using this composable, this shared composable. And for example, in this screen, the message that is on top of the button is just an info message. Just saying like, hey, you have selected this Android bot. And we have over 200, so you can choose more. But since this also contains this shared composable, it will be displayed red, which is for error message, and this is not really an error message. So it means this change is not intentional. So we have changed something not on purpose. And the problem is that since we are working maybe in the other screen, we have not realized that we have also made some changes unintentional in other screens. Of course, you can go check this, check all the screens where this shared composable is displayed. You can do that. If you have 10, 12, 15, it could scale. And if you modify more than one share composable, it does not scale properly. So instead of doing manually, the point would be to do it automatically. And for that, we want a tool that in case our screenshot test, in which once we have the UI as we want it to be displayed, we record it. Then when we make new changes, we want to compare both the new one, like the one on the right, and the old one. And then when we execute verify, we get a kind of diff telling us, hey, something is wrong. Take a look at what has changed. And that's what a screenshot test would help us with. So I'm going to explain very shortly how screenshot testing works. I don't know, I believe that maybe most of you are familiar, but it's good to recap. So it's going to be short. And for screenshot testing, you need a special library. Yeah. I'll mention some options later, but something that all these screenshot libraries have in common are these two tasks that are usually enabled via a grader plugin. So we have the record task to generate a screenshot file out of a UI component. In this context, it would be a composable. And then we have the verify task. That also generates a screenshot file, but it also compares the new screenshot file to the one we have previously recorded. So let's see how these two tasks are used. So first of all, we write the UI code for a new feature, in this case, a composable. And while implementing the composable, we are also writing the preview as we've seen previously. And we want to have a screenshot test for at least some of those previews. Something that I've seen myself doing very often is, okay, I have my preview, then I want to have a screenshot test, so I copy paste basically the code of the preview in the Paparazzi or Roborazzi or any other library test. So once the UI looks as in the design, we execute the record task. And this will generate a screenshot file. Later on, we decide to refactor this composable without changing its appearance. Maybe it's a complex composable, and we want to simplify that composable into smaller ones. That's something that I do very often when I see that there are too many lines of code and it's not very readable. Maybe you want to ensure that the composable looks good not only on the screen you are working on, but also in all the files where the refactor composable is used, as we have seen previously. And therefore, you run the verify task to do that automatically. So this verify task also generates a file, and this file is compared pixel by pixel with the one that we have previously recorded. And if they are the same, the build is green, and you know that you are good. However, as always, it could be that the new generated screenshot file differs when both files are compared, and then it means that it fails, it creates a diff image and tells you, hey, you have also changed this. That's basically how screenshot testing works. However, as I mentioned before, we want to have fast feedback loops. And in order to have a screenshot test out of previews, we will have to write a screenshot test for every preview that we wish to get feedback from. And this slows down a little bit the process. What if we could actually generate the screenshot test automatically from the previews? And we can achieve this with all screenshot testing libraries. But how we achieve it depends on the library we use for screenshot testing. So I'm going to mention the three main screenshot testing libraries for this, which are Compose Preview, that is a new one from Google. Roborazzi, that is based on Roboelectric native graphics, uses Roboelectric under the hood, and Paparazzi, that uses LayoutLib. Compose Preview from Google also uses LayoutLib, which is what Android Studio uses to display the previews. Robots is a little bit different in that regard. Well, yeah, there are differences regarding how the screenshot tests are generated out of the previews and where the preview should be located. So for compose preview, it's fully automated. You just have to configure the gradle file and that's it. But the preview should be located in screenshot test source. So usually in Android development, you have main, you have Android tests for instrumentation tests that have to run on the device. You have also tests. And now there's this new one that Google created just for screenshot tests. And the previews have to be placed there. If they're in main, that is what you usually use when you are developing, yeah, you have to copy paste into this source. Google is trying to solve this. They want to create a new source set that is going to be called preview or something like that, that is supposed to fix this. So Android Studio will be able to find and connect somehow your composable in the main source set with the one in preview. I don't know. We have to see how it's going to develop and how it will evolve. But yeah, for now it's like this. Yeah, so you have to put your previews in a screenshot test source. And with Roborazzi, it's different. It's also kind of fully automated, but that is using a library I'm the author of under the hood that is called Android. No, not Android. Composable Preview Scanner. Yeah, it's already there since version 1.22, and the last Roborazzi version is 1.40. So for very long. The feedback has been very good. I can tell it works very reliably. And since the last version from Composable Preview Scanner, the previews can be in any test, in any source set. They can be in main, they can be in a screenshot test. In another test, you can choose from which source set you want Composable Preview Scanner to find the previews. Previously, it was only on main. And yeah, if you use the Gradle plugin option that is inside the Roborazzi, it works only with previews in main, but you can always customize it. With Roborazzi, it's just 2-3 lines of code. It's the same as with the Google Compose Preview screenshot testing tool. It's very easy to configure. With Paparazzi, it's also possible. It's a little bit more, it requires a little more of configuration. But for that, you can also use the Android Composable Preview Scanner to find the previews, and then a parameterized unit test. So parameterized test is a test that runs for a set of parameters. So you inject the parameters, then in this case are all the previews found by the Composable Preview Scanner, and then runs the test for every preview. And the same, you can decide from where the previews are scanned. Main, screenshot test, Android test, combine all of them as you wish. So this is the library I was mentioning. It has actually over 100,000 downloads per month, almost no bugs. So almost everything that is there are new features. Some very small bugs that actually I think I just came across accidentally. Yeah, and yeah, it has 200 stars right now. And I got very good feedback. I got people coming to me and saying, hey, Sergio, this works very well. And my point, or something that I wanted to show you, is how you can use Composable Preview Scanner with Paparazzi, how to integrate it. So for that, I'm going to show you a little bit what this is. Yeah, exactly. It has 201 stars. Here, a little bit comparison with other tools. Maybe you know Showcase if you have done screenshot testing before. It's from Airbnb, but it has a different purpose. It was never intended for screenshot test. This tool it is. And well, it works with preview parameters. It works with preview screen sizes, preview dynamic colors, even if you create your own previews. Also, you can include private previews, previews that are inside classes, because it's something that the tool from Google requires, it would also work. And also previews that are in main, screenshot test, Android. Configuration is pretty easy. So basically you need, this with the last version, that is 0.5.0. I'll show you now in practice how to do it. And then here you go to Paparazzi, and we can do that together. So everything that you have to do. The API is pretty simple. I think it's here up. These are all the options. But I would say just let's go through it. So for that, I have a project, also open source from me. Like here, that is this Android screenshot testing playground. It's what I'm gonna add here, what I'm gonna open here in Android Studio. So basically here, lazy column screen previews. This is for Compose because I also have dialogues, I have recycle view, I have different things, but this is the one where you can find actually examples with Compose screenshot testing from Google, from Paparazzi, and from Roborazzi. In this one, we don't have the test with Composable Preview Scanner. We're going to add them, but in the other two, well, in Compose Screenshot not, because it has its own mechanism to find the previews. But in Roborazzi, it's already integrated Composable Preview Scanner. And we're going to do that with Paparazzi. So I believe I will keep this not completely open. So we can also copy paste things from this Composable Preview Scanner. I don't know how good it's gonna work if I do it like this and this here. Let's try. Yeah. So actually, if I run now this here, I have the command already here. Should just create, run a screenshot test from an empty composable. There's absolutely nothing here, but just to show you that I have configured nothing. Yeah. And in the meanwhile, while this is running, I can show you the configuration in Paparazzi. Wow. Yeah. So here I add it. It's the only thing that I configure. With the last version, that is 0.5.0. And also, you also need for the parameterized test, as I mentioned before, this test parameter injector. I think that's also in the Paparazzi documentation. All the examples they use is with this parameter injector. So here it was created file, and as you see, the preview is empty because we have nothing. So now let's write that. Let's copy paste basically. Or that's not the test here. I can show you the previews that we have that I have created. That's very true. Hopefully, if I do Gradle thing, because here it's not showing me sentence, it happens. I think it's an Android Studio thing that here I don't have the tab. I have to click to display the previews. And usually a Gradle thing fixes that. Also this error, it's not, yeah, exactly, what's fixed. So I have some previews that are like this. When then it's wrong. Also, I think it's an Android Studio bug. If I do here, like this, yeah, one of them is like in right to left language. Yeah, so we have cappuccino and espresso. That is with these preview parameters. I basically given two drinks, different drinks. Yeah, so one is the cappuccino and one is espresso. Then I also have one that is preview light dark. So dark mode, light, as you can see in the names. And then we have this Arabic that since I don't have Arabic strings, it's just right to left. This as an example. So what we want to do is to use Composable Preview Scanner with Paparazzi to generate the screenshot test out of it. automatically. For that, we have to configure it. And that's where I come to the other file. And then let me go to the paparazzi section here. And then this, like, you have a paparazzi config, because you can also add some special configuration for some tests, but I'm not gonna go through it, not at the beginning at least. So this we can skip. So you can say, for example, hey, my paparazzi test for this preview, please use max percent 0.1. You can also change the rendering mode from paparazzi, so like full expand, shrink, whatever. But this is homework if you want to check it. So what we know, then here we have our preview. It's already done. I show you just the previews, and now the configuration. So we can copy paste this in the very same file, or we can do it in utils, but I'll do it in the very same file. Does not really matter. Exactly. So we don't need this because it's for the paparazzi configuration that we don't have for now. So this we can remove it. Oops. A little bit confusing to have two windows. And then here you have to say the package where the previews you want to scan are. There are several options you can include and exclude. There is also like include, exactly, and exclude. And it's a package tree. So it means not only that package, but also the sub packages. So our previews here are under a snapshot, testing, lazy column, previews, paparazzi in main. Yeah, so you need to put this package. If you have more packages, you can put all of them here. Here I have it. So I'm not gonna even put include, yes. Copy pasted it. Yeah, get previews. That's the first step. And the second one is where all the magic happens. Yeah, I'm gonna paste it and then we can go through it little by little. Yeah, to go through it, I'm gonna, yeah, I wanted to use this view, but I think it's gonna be better this. Yeah, so here we basically configure the device. So Paparazzi has a device where you can define the screen height, the screen width, the density, everything, orientation, locale, night mode. What this Composable preview scanner does, it returns the preview with all the information inside. So preview device, preview with height DP, everything, locale, everything that you can define in a preview, it's returned here in this Android preview info. And what we use is we map those preview parameters into something that Paparazzi can understand. And here is where the magic happens. So this is the most important class. And you can copy paste it. I mean, this is what it does is like densities in DPs, for example. So it converts from DPs to PX, to pixels. Then there are some things that are pretty simple. So it also has this device where you can define the orientation in the preview, actually. When you configure your device, you can always define the orientation. And yeah, the orientation, you can also take it from the parse device. That is also from Composable Preview Scanner, and then convert it into the orientation that Paparazzi understands. The locale, if there is no locale, you have to use English because otherwise I think it crashes. But yeah, and the night mode, that basically, this is different from the previous because it's something like UI mode also contains carp mode or dose mode and things like that. So you have to map it, you have to mask it to understand whether it's night or not night mode. But yeah, this is all the mapping happening here. And it's in the documentation. So it's just copy paste. You can tweak some parts you don't like, but in general, most of the stuff is one line conversion. Good. So that's where the magic happens. And then you just need to create the paparazzi rule that I'm gonna copy paste. Here, preview info, because it's, okay, I have to change the documentation and adjust it because copy pasting is not working. But yeah, I believe it's because I'm missing here. Well, preview info equals preview info. No, the rendering mode, yeah. And this is something that we don't want because it's from the configuration. Oh, now it's working. Oh, perfect. Other configurations here, maybe interesting. Yeah, from the preview info, there's also the show system UI, and paparazzi also has it. And here, what I want is that we have in the preview we have defined the width and the height. Then it will be full expand. Otherwise, we try to shrink it. In general, this you can also tweak it. And the device configuration, yeah, is what we have seen previously. This app. What we use creates a device config, and we set it here. So, and that's it. Then after that, we just have to inject. We have to copy paste this. I know this is for the background, true. If you want to support background, it basically wraps the preview inside a box that has the background that you are expecting. And then in your paparazzi test, the last point is here with the test parameter injector. Okay, let's copy paste and then explain. It would be this one. Boom. Exactly, the composable preview provider, that is the thing that we have defined at the very top, where we provide the previews from Android Composable Preview Scanner. This is actually the only thing that belongs to Composable Preview Scanner. Yeah, the other thing is just mapping the results that we get from the preview. So mapping the previews from our composables into something that paparazzi understands. Yeah, so actually the Composable Preview Scanner work is just this part, this here. And yeah, so that's what we do. We create the paparazzi rule with what we have seen previously. We inject the previews from the Composable Preview Scanner. And then, yeah, we create the snapshot. Composable Preview Scanner also has something that is called a screenshot ID builder. So we want to create meaningful names out of the preview parameters that we are passing. So in that case, we can avoid that, files or previews that have different parameters that they have the same screenshot file name, because otherwise they would be overwritten. And it has pretty meaningful names, by the way. This creates with all the parameters that your previews have. And then we use this preview background to apply the soap background and background color from the preview that we have defined. And that's it. Yeah. So now if I execute again the screenshot test, it should generate them. So this is exactly the same as before. Actually, I don't know why I copy pasted. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it takes a little bit longer because of the scanning, but the scanning is pretty fast, I have to say, in general. That's because our Composable Preview Scanner is using a library that is called class graph. And it's, oh man, look, it was super fast. Already created. And here you can see the 5. This is all one from before, because that's how paparazzi works. It keeps history of all the screenshots. And then we have this for cappuccino. We have this for the espresso, then the night mode. This is the right to left, and this was the normal one, I guess, with Americano, exactly. And if we add now one more preview, that's gonna do here in main, exactly, previews that are in main. I have one here down. Oops, don't copy the comments. Yeah, let's put it here. Not so important. So we have one more preview that we can see. Wait, I will close the. Can I make it? No. Well, I close. Yeah, I can close this. All the tabs. Oh, you can see yourself. Let's close this, and I'll open only Under Studio. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This preview with background and with different width and height. Yeah, I think it has 2000, exactly 2000 height, 1000 width. To over exaggerate. Yeah, like this. And if I run it again, it should also generate one screenshot file for this. As you can see, it was pretty fast. It was even faster than I expected. Now it's scanning. Yeah, what I wanted to say is that it uses class graph. That is it's a library that is much faster than reflection, like 3-4 times much faster than reflection to find all the file not found exception. Yeah, that's also something I wanted to tell you. Now, it's not a problem. We'll see it now. But I was talking about composable preview scanner, and that is using the library that is called class graph, and this is like 3-4 times faster than reflection. So the scanning happens very fast, and I'm actually in one of the newest releases, I'm gonna add some customization options so it could run even faster. But yeah, we see why it's failing, and we see that, yeah, file name too long, because it's creating a file, as I mentioned before, with this screenshot ID builder with the parameters of the preview. And the problem with paparazzi, it does not happen with roborazzi, is that it already includes the full path, the path name, the class name, and the method name. So it makes the name of the screenshot file very long. And we can actually customize it to make it pass. So we go to our screenshot test. That is here, paparazzi composable screenshot test. We go to here. We are already ignoring the class name, but we could do also like ignore method name, and we could also say like, yeah, ignore, maybe also show background. So if we come back to this file, you see here that is displaying with background, but the property is called show background. So it means this won't be included in the file name. We could also define how to override the name. So for example, we could do, instead of ignore, override default ID for. So when for show background, we want to show something different. Oops. So we could do it also like this. Get preview info, and then decide like preview info, show background. Then you do something else. You call it differently depending on whether it is true or false. Something like this, yeah. That also works. But for now, I would say I'm going to ignore it also to make it even shorter. And I have to write the property in the preview that is called show background. There's no preview, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, now if I execute again, it should not fail. and should recognize this preview. Yep, it was exactly, and here you have the preview. So yeah, and we can actually check the names. Yeah, here you can. Yeah, it's very small, but the show background is not here displayed. It was with background, I think, how it maps into the screenshot ID name. Yeah, and of course we could also modify one of the previews and try to verify. So for example, the previews are here in main, my previews, and say here coffee drink, copy, and then I want to change the name. That is gonna be Sergio. And let's see here, let's update. I'll make it bigger. We already know this preview is very big. Yeah, here we see Sergio is in dark mode and should be also in. Yeah, again, the right to left, that is an Android Studio problem. Yeah, the right to left is somehow from time to time, Android Studio gets confused and it shows the display not in right to left, but left to right. Yeah, and now if I execute the, oops, not here, the verify, it should fail. I have to confess you that I have not tried out, but I know it works. Yeah, now it takes a little bit longer because it has to execute new Gradle task. So that's why not the scanning, but all the tasks that has to be executed. Yeah, fail. Was expected, as I said. Yeah, it tells you, yeah, you can check the images differ, blah, blah, blah. You can go to the file that I don't remember now where it's generated, but I think it's not so important. You have seen that it has failed, and it tells you that the image differs because we have changed the file. Actually, if I click here, oh no, it's not here, it's in another one. Yeah, but that was the demonstration. That's what I wanted to show you. Yeah. You have questions?
Awesome.
To reply.
Thank you so much. It was great. I enjoyed it. There were some questions even before. I do have some questions, and there were some questions before when I was announcing this session. But let's see first if others have any questions, because we have 15 minutes left. So let's actually prioritize others.
I'll stop presenting, but if you have any question regarding this, yeah, I can share again. Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, questions?
I have, but the ones that we talk about in talk, not new ones, so maybe we can have it all together.
Yeah, we'll ask that. But let's first, was it Bearish? Did you? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, Chonad. I just display my family name this time.
Sorry.
Okay, so I actually have two questions. Yeah, one of the questions was that, so if I understand correctly, this is not really a test first method. It's more like you still have to write your usual instrument tests to drive your development, but it's more like a post-development confirmation of you're still compliant with the design. Is that right?
Yeah, the thing is, what I usually do is, as I was presenting, is to write the previews first, and then I start writing the composable, the things that are in the composable. And once the composable looks as I expected, I record. I make a record. Then I maybe think that my composable is very big, and then I start refactoring my composable, my UI, and I already have on my local machine the recorded screenshots. So I split maybe this big composable into smaller ones, and I can still make sure by executing verify that the composable was as before. For example, for checking padding and things like that. Sometimes I break things. When refactoring the composable into smaller ones, so I refactor a shared composable, as I mentioned before. So that's actually the main difference with the TDD. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, once, well, kind of similar, but once you have reached what the design should look like, then you start refactoring. Yeah, the last step of TDD, and you do it with the screenshot test. You do it with previews. But if you want to make sure that everything is fine also in other screens, for example, if you have refactored something that is in like a composable, shared composable that is used in several screens, that everything still looks fine.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Sorry if I may. My other question is that. Yeah. Right. How is it so fast? So maybe I've been missing something, but I got used to with instrumented tests, even with create compose rule, which is not the Android compose rule, it's just the normal compose rule. If I'm correct, that's the bare minimum I need to test anything on the UI. But it's still very slow compared to what I've just seen, what you presented. I think.
Yeah, that's true. There are different libraries for this. I think Paparazzi is the fastest one, although I'm using Roborazzi in my current project. Well, there are two factors here. One is the composable preview scanner that is fast, and then that I can tell you why is using this awesome library I want to share with you, because this library was also won a Google Peer Bonus Award. It's super fast. Wait, I'm gonna maybe even share. I don't find you now here in my browser. One moment. Here, wow, have you? Let me share again. Allow share screen. Yes, this one. Then hopefully you see, yeah. So it's this one that is called class graph. It's ultra fast. One Google open source bonus is very mature. It's as I mentioned before, like 3-4 times faster than using reflection. This guy is running a lot of things in different threads. I took a look, and it's the guy knows that it's complex, but it's also super awesome. Works really wonderful. So at any time, if you need to use reflection, I recommend that instead of using reflection, you take a look at this library. This is called Class Graph. 2.8 K stars. And this guy also replies super. I mean, when you create an issue that they had one when I was implemented composable preview scanner, he replies super fast. He's really fixing as much as he can. And there are not so many issues for such a popular library, I have to say. And some of them are not, I mean, they are not related to Kotlin or Java. They are like for very specific cases in other JVM platforms. And that's one point. Composable preview scanner, that is pretty fast. And the second point is the library. Yeah, with Roborazzi is a little bit slower because it has to download the SDK. That's how Roboelectric works under the hood. There is also something that is called offline mode that would make that faster, because instead of having to download the SDK, I don't want to share anymore. Instead of downloading the SDK, it's already on your machine, and it makes things faster. But Paparazzi also they have been improving the mechanism they use to download things. They download the layout lib library, that is the one that Android Studio uses for the previews. And yeah, it's pretty fast. I don't know how it works under the hood, but I know that they have been working on improving this downloading of resources. And it's of course, the resources that are downloaded by Paparazzi are smaller than the ones from Roboelectric. That's also one of the points. Less information to download, faster that it is. And it also, all these libraries use Gradle cache configuration, what makes the first build maybe a little bit slower, but second, third, fourth are faster.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you very
Let
much.
me add something to the first question. When you mentioned the refactoring, also like the state is a big thing. That like you can create your preview, and probably you're gonna end up with some state in there. And then when refactoring, not only smaller composables, but to extract the state that you wanna hoist somewhere else, it is also helpful, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm also, first of all, I write the previews and then I write the logic, because by writing the previews, you get the US states that you want to generate in your view models if you use this unidirectional data flow. And then TDD comes naturally. It's super easy to implement. And that's one of the parts that I love the most of doing previews first. And that's something that I mentioned in my other tech talk here in Lisbon. This was just a very short version of it, because I wanted also to showcase a composable preview scanner. Yeah, awesome. But that's a very good point, and one of my favorite things about this.
Yeah. Let's see if there are other questions from the folks. Otherwise, I can ask some more.
Yeah. Hi, Sergio. This is Samir here.
Hi.
Is there any? Yeah. Hello. Is there anything in your Medium that you have written? Because I follow your Medium blog as well.
You mean if I have written a blog post about this?
Sorry for that. Yeah, in your Medium blog.
I usually use Hashnode, but the last thing I've written, I wrote about previews, how to use previews, not for compose, but for XML views. So you can wrap them actually in this. Let me share again.
I've also dropped a link to that in the chat, but yeah, you can go ahead.
No, I don't know. We have enough time.
Yeah.
Okay, then why not? No window. I don't want to share this window.
I also had the same question regarding the states. So if there is something you can contribute to your Medium, I can refer in your Medium as well. Regarding the states, which Joe mentioned. Like for button, for example, button enabled, disabled, something like that.
No, the closest that I've written in my blog post, that I have written in my blog platform is about like generating parameterized screenshot tests for Roborazzi, but about generating US states itself. The best source probably is the tech talk that I gave in DroidCon Lisbon, but no blog post. It's like this what you saw, but at a higher scale. I also talk about TDD, how they connect is much more longer. That's what I would refer, but I've never written any blog about that. Maybe it's a good topic. I actually wrote about generating US states and the whole process.
Exactly. The whole process and everything, so that we can also try with ourselves, so that we can get understand what exactly is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's something I will consider.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Any other question? I'm happy to answer.
I got some. One related about the screenshots. So basically, they are generated wherever you're having this setup, the configuration. And then in terms of submitting the screenshots to your repository, for example, Paparazzi is suggesting to use LFS to basically store them. And sometimes it is problematic or it is not allowing. So I wanted to ask in that regard, how do you solve this?
Yeah, I've never. I know about this problem. I've never reached that limit of, because I think it's up to 2 gigabytes with GitHub, for example, to store code and images. I know some people who has gone with LFS and they said, "Hey, we have so many screenshots." It also depends what you want to screenshot. Yeah, if you want to screenshot everything, or you just want to screenshot things that are more valuable. Yeah, there are people who go really crazy with the screenshot test. In my opinion, I prefer to have full screen screenshot test when it's possible, and sometimes for some states, it's true that I also take screenshots only for those components, but in general, I used to have a screenshot test for the screens. And since, I don't know, an application has maybe 30 screens, yeah, and then, okay, you consider all the UI states that are possible. You could have, 1,000, 2,000 screenshots, maybe. Yeah. And it also depends because, for example, in one of my companies, the teams have different repositories. Yeah. So then you have, I mean, it's even harder to reach the limit. I know there are some options apart from this, what is the name? GLS? No, not GLS. LFS. I don't remember. Yeah. Some external providers that they provide with their own bucket, and this screenshot bot actually is pretty good. I've tried it out. They also have a limit of 2 gigabytes for free, if I recall correctly. And yeah, you probably need to go custom solution if LFS doesn't work for you. But I've never had that problem so far.
Okay. Yeah, Ernest was the original asker of the question, so I don't know if that answered.
Answered it perfectly. So basically, don't worry about it. No, you have to have a huge application. So I was talking because I have a pet application and I was trying to set it up. But if you don't need it,
you have to consider, for example, every screenshot file is like 50 kilobytes, maybe like that. So till you reach the limit in GitHub, it depends. I don't know. GitHub, what's the limit and so on. And also, like, you can always, as I said, inside of my teams, everything had a different repository, so it was even harder to reach that limit.
And maybe you could put it in the gitignore files, the screenshots, or you don't.
No, because you want to push them when you make some changes. You want to push them so other people don't.
Yeah.
But for example, Roborazzi has an option that is to, instead of generating PNG files, it generates WebP, which takes even less space, like half of the space. Mm-hmm. So it's even harder to reach the limit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Samir, shoot.
Yeah, Joe, thanks. We have automation test suite as well, right? Like Appium, like that, right? So in there also we can generate automation for this one UI test cases. So how different is this from this one Paparazzi, and which one you suggest?
Well, the main difference is speed. I think fast feedback loops. When you run things on the JVM, as you have seen, it's pretty fast. However, if you are running on a device, it has to, for Appium, for example, it would have to generate the APK. Then it has to install the APK in your application. Then it has to launch an activity. You would have maybe to navigate there to the place where you want to take the screenshot and then take it. So then you are basically breaking the feedback loop process. It's not bad. I have to say it's not bad to also verify the screenshot test on a real device, because it's or real device or emulator, because it's closer, and sometimes previews are not 100% accurate. I found a couple of cases in which they were not accurate, even more than a couple. But yeah, that would be something I would not block a merge request if for that. Yes, usually it's a visual regression bug that is not so important in general when something. Well, if you have not captured that with the GVM test, like with paparazzi or roborazzi, you're basically fine to go. I mean, could be that something is wrong, but the likelihood is very low.
Yeah, and I think additionally, these interaction tests, like the ones that you are having with Appium probably, or like if you're just using Espresso, you can test interactions with that. They're kind of slow, but I mean, you are probably gonna have fewer ones. But by no means you can check any pixel perfection with these tests. So you can say, okay, find a button on the screen, click on it, expect some other screen to open. You can make that verification, but you couldn't check with that test whether the button has the right color, whether it is positioned correctly. Whereas with a screenshot test, that's actually the goal with it. You can make sure that all those things are in a correct spot, but you couldn't test the interactions there. So I think they are complementary to each other. Just my humble opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, he freezed or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, kicked out.
Yeah, and one more thing which I have was regarding the security. How secure this paparazzi and roborazzi is
What do you mean with security exactly?
in terms of security. Like
Yeah,
for banking applications and all, can we use this one? Will it passes the this one pipelines and everything, because they would have set up the pipelines very strong in the banking applications.
but my experience, I've also worked in a banking application. Actually, the first application in which I work and we had a screenshot test was a banking application. For that, I know that for some screens you don't allow to take a screenshot, but that's something that for the back builds you can deactivate. For example,
Exactly.
that's not a problem. We don't even have problems with that. For the back builds, you just deactivate this. It's a flag, if I remember correctly, and you're fine. For the back builds, very important.
I wanted to ask about the setup. So let's imagine you are having modularized setup, and I know that, or I don't know if that's still the case, but in the main, the application, the binding module, we couldn't have paparazzi. It was not working. So it was supposed to be in somewhere else. And would you have this, because you're writing one test and you tell it, okay, scan all these packages, and then it's gonna generate. Would you do that per module where you have composables, or is there a possibility to actually have it at one spot and then run throughout all the modules?
Yeah, you can do it for one. You could do it in the application. One, the thing is you maybe have some screenshots that are generated several times because there are dependencies that are in different modules. I mean, I have not done it. Yeah, I usually have it in every module. But what I can imagine that could happen is that you end up with some previews being executed several times, which slows down the process. But I'm not sure, yeah, just because you're adding the dependency, so it's scanning twice or scanning thrice, yeah.
Got it.
So if you do it on the module, you have more control actually. But it's worth trying. Indeed, it's a good question.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and one last thing is, so can we integrate Figma designs as well? Can we check Figma designs with whatever we have developed?
It's
Can we check
possible.
that both?
It's probably possible if the name of the file is the same, but I believe there are gonna be some problems. You will have to take your Figma files, screenshots, put them in the location, and I'm pretty sure that to get them to the exact same size, pixel by pixel, to what the screenshot test is gonna generate, is not gonna work. And there are gonna be some rendering differences, so I think it's not possible. It's not realistically, theoretically, yes, but it's because every library also renders differently. Roborazzi and Paparazzi, there are some small differences. Also, if you have a different local machine than your CI, so you have, for example, your local machine is a Mac, and the machine on the CI is Linux, is running Linux. There are going to be also some differences. That's a problem that the screenshot testing has. Doesn't matter the library. It has to do with the rendering on the operating system side. So, and with Figma is something similar. So in theory, yes, but I think practically it's very impossible.
Cool. I have one more question about the Paparazzi plugin in Android Studio. I noticed you were using browser to see the screenshots.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have tried the Paparazzi plugin. How does that work, whether it works with this or not?
I have not tried it with Composable Preview Scanner, but it should work out of the box. I've tried it previously, a long time ago. Wow, like 400 or 500 versions before, and it was working not for me, the Paparazzi plugin. It's not official, actually, if I remember correctly. It's not from the Square team, and it was not working for me. So, but if maybe in one of the newest versions it works. I have not used it since then, so.
Yeah, it was not working in one of the latest Android version, like in Android Studio itself for me. So
Okay.
that's what I'm asking. Like in Ladybug, I guess it was not working, and I stopped using it.
Okay, and it's the one I was using now. So, but yeah, I think I don't know how often they try to fix things in that plugin, but should work. Yeah, if it's able to find previews. These previews are also located in the same file as Paparazzi. I did not do anything special. I just used Composable Preview Scanner to generate the names. So the name is different, but the location is the same as Paparazzi by default. I didn't change anything.
Got it. And the last question from my side, it was asked somewhere else, but I think it's going to be curious for many people about multi-platform. So how this integrates with KMP, because there were some issues with the previews in general. Like you can put your sort of previews in the Android source and then have your composables in the common.
Mm-hmm.
So how would that work?
Yeah, Composable Preview
Yeah, that was my question as well.
Okay.
That was my next question as well. Thanks, Joe, for asking.
Yeah, Composable Preview Scanner supports common previews already. There's a different class, different annotation for both. The only thing is Paparazzi does not support it. You should use Roborazzi. Roborazzi, it would work with Roborazzi. I've tried it out. I forked Roborazzi and tried it out, and it was working. The common previews. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions, guys? All righty, we are about 10 minutes over time. Sergio, thank you so much. It was awesome. I enjoyed it a lot. And if you are open for that, we are going to invite you again sometime soon.
Yeah, for sure.
We can talk about different things.
Always happy to share. Yeah, thanks for the invitation, Joe. Yeah.
You're welcome. So I'm going to pause the recording, and yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cool.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.